As you know, an opening that has become really popular recently is the Alien Gambit. It's a risky gambit that instantly gives black a -1 advantage, so if you know what you're doing as black, then it's pretty much a guaranteed win for you. Before we start, thank you all for 100 subscribers. The Alien Gambit arrives after e4, c6, the Caro Carn defense, d4 d5, knight c3, d takes e4, knight takes e4, and here you play knight f6. White then plays a weird move, knight g5, and when you try to kick it away, they sacrifice it on f7, and this is the Alien Gambit. Take it, and there are two moves that white will play, knight f3 or bishop c4. If they play knight f3 then you'll play c5. This looks strange, but it's the best move because you're pressuring the center, and they can't take as you'll trade queens. White has no attack, and can't castle, whereas you are up a piece in a queenless middle game, which is an easy win. The most common move is knight e5 check, so move your king back, and by far the most likely move white will play is bishop c4 check. Block with e6, and because you're threatening to take and have a good position, white will probably either play knight g6 or c3. If they play knight g6, please do not play rook h7. Now this rook won't be able to do anything for the rest of the game, whereas this white knight remains a really strong piece. Instead, develop your knight and let them take it. Now, unless white wants to lose this pawn, they'll have to take and lose castling rights. And now your position is so much better than white's, it's -1 on the eval bar. This is because your pieces are a lot more developed, your king is safer, and you have two knights for a rook and a pawn. Although they're both worth 6 points, having two minor pieces is better than the rook and the pawn. If they play c3 instead of going for knight g6, take the pawn, and then play bishop b4 check. When they block take on d4, so that you can then take the knight. White is down a full piece so they won't want to trade queens, so they go back with the bishop. Now, put your knight on d5 and you are simply up a piece, and it's -2 according to the engine. All the way back here, if they go bishop c4 check instead of knight e5, it probably won't matter because when you play e6, the most common move is knight e5 check, and this is exactly the same thing as before. If they don't play that though, just develop your knight and you are simply better as you are up a knight. Back again, they don't have to start with knight f3, if they play bishop c4, then will most likely go to the same line as before, but they could also play f4 here, or in another line. If you see this, they're trying to get rid of this e6 pawn and attack your king. Play c5, and if they keep going, take on d4 with your queen. When they take and take, you can take the bishop and your king is actually safe. If they try this check, you can block and you are simply up a piece. So, what is the best move for white after c5? The move is bishop d3, but it's still more than -1 on the engine. Take the pawn, and when they check, move to g8, and now it's basically the same position as before. Play e6 if they check, and if they go here then let them take the rook by playing e5. You have a strong center, and if they take, queen a5 forks the king and the knight, and now you're up 2 pieces. And that is how to beat the Alien Gambit. If you play it correctly like I have shown you, you will either be up a knight or your position will simply be a lot better. If you are confused or can't remember some of the lines, the moves are in the description.